Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel. Today I have a video that is going to be about the process of publishing a children's book. So I'm gonna it's going to be my process of how I published my children's book, Mrs. Mouse. And it's also the current process that I'm following right now as I am going through with creating my second children's book, which is yet to be titled. Gotta look at my notebook. Step number 1 for publishing a children's book is obviously writing. Write the story. And for me, this is what it looked like. I literally just typed it out, plain, boring font and everything. My whole story for Mrs. Mouse on Google Docs. You could use Word, you can write it out however you want, but how I did it was I just typed it out on Google Docs. Really plain, simple, and straightforward. Step number 2 will be the illustrations. So you're gonna have to think about what kind of illustrations you want or what, style, if you have one in mind. Then if you are not an artist yourself, you're going to have to find an illustrator. I don't know anything about that process. You would probably be finding a freelancer. I myself illustrated my own pictures for the book because I'm an artist, and actually my first book, it was a project for my art capstone class at my college, so it was kind of a 2-in-1. I had wanted to publish it as a book, but I also needed to have a theme of artworks, so I just went with using my illustrations for my book as my paintings for my project. So this is how I did the illustrations. I illustrated using watercolor. So first thing I did was make sketches, or they're also called thumbnails in the art world, I guess. I did that for ideas of each section. Well, let me actually back up. First, I sectioned off each page, I guess you could say, that I thought would make a good illustration. I separated them, and then I printed off my story on paper, and I kind of drew squiggly lines. Then I did the sketches, and then I would pick out a sketch that I thought would work good for each section, and then I drew it out on my watercolor paper. And then comes the watercolor painting. This part is the fun part. It actually didn't take too long because they were small illustrations, and I'm actually really getting into watercolor right now. So it was really a fun process for me. But now the next part, because I'm a traditional illustrator, I am not into the digital art and graphic design type of things. I thought at one point maybe I would be, but I'm not, because I'm a traditional artist. How did I get the illustrations online so I could print the book? That's a great question. So now we're going to go over to this lovely place called Canva, which is actually currently what I use for formatting children's books. I use Canva for a lot of things. People think sometimes it's not that great quality, but I've had perfect experiences with it.
Well, not perfect, but it's very good.
I love Canva. I've known how to use it since middle school. You can scan drawings. I have done that before for my book, Billy Bob Joe. I tend to think that for more than just stick people illustrations, the colors won't come through very well because the scanner that I have is just the scanner that it's on my printer, and it's probably not the best for scanning artworks. It's not really meant for that. So what I do is actually I take a very good quality photograph of my artwork, each piece, and then I go into the edit tool sometimes And then I have the actual artwork right next to my screen, and I try and color match it exactly if it's not already, because the pictures tend to already come out pretty exact, but I color match as real to the real illustration as I can get, because we don't want any fake colors here. And then I upload that photo to Canva, and here I click create new design and custom size. I put in my size, be sure to change it to inches, my width and height that I want for the printed book to be. And then I go in and I upload each image. Go to the uploads and show you. So it would be like if I uploaded this plain image right here, each plain image, and then I just added the text that I want. There's lots of fonts that you can choose from, and Canva is completely free, by the way. It's part of the reason I love it. You can just add a new page down here. Make sure you put in your copyright information, and then I just added each picture, each image, and each words. I added the story on there. It took a while to play around with and figure out how I liked everything set up. But by the time that was done, now came the hard part. Not a fan of uploading stuff to KDP because it never seems to work out. Kindle Direct Publishing. It always takes me like 5 million times to upload things in order for it to actually work. And I don't know why, because I know this process. I've done it like tons and tons of times. But for some reason, there's always an issue with, it seems like it's usually the trim size. So I think that's one of the areas that Canva goes a little askew, is that the trim size is always a little bit off, and I'm always so surprised because you just put in the inches. It should be perfect. It's a computer after all. Maybe I'm putting too much trust in computers, but anyway, here's my KDP. I uploaded it, and I'm not going to show you that process right now, but let me just say, it takes hours and hours for, once you put everything in first, that takes forever. It takes hours and hours for them to check everything before, once you hit published, before it actually shows up on Amazon for people to buy. And I hate that part because it actually takes hours and hours for them to check it, and then they find out something's wrong that they couldn't have somehow figured out or told me before. I hit the publish button, like, come on. So I had to do that like 5 million times with Mrs. Mouse, and it was late. I had wanted to publish it way earlier, but it didn't work out. And I remember I was on vacation in the little cabin at our campground, like freaking out. I was so stressed out about this book, and probably stressing out everyone else because I was stressed out. So that is how it worked. If you continue setup, I'll give you a little overview of what it looks like in case you've never seen Kindle Direct Publishing. But we have the book title, the series if you have one you can add, the author's name, the illustrator. I put my art business name, which is Eva Lee Art, instead of like my name. Then you put your description. Mine is kind of dumb, but we're just gonna ignore that. Publishing rights. If you created it, you own the publishing rights. There is no such thing as actually having to pay money to register for a copyright, because that is already your right by creating it. Just make sure you have some sort of proof, and if you own the paper copies, that is your proof of copyright. You own it. It is not for anyone else to tell you that you have to pay to actually register it. You can do that if you feel like it will be safer for you, but that is not actually necessary. Then we have keywords, which I am not very good at figuring out yet. I'm still learning that stuff myself. You save continue, then you can get eventually to upload the cover. Not sure why it's not showing my cover. I'm not sure what it's doing right now at all, to be honest, but I uploaded a cover I already had because I actually used Photoshop to create that cover. How I wanted the front, spine, and back. I'll go over covers if you would like at some point, because that is also difficult.
I'm getting a call.
Yeah, just that there was a lot of technical difficulties, but you can't get like really upset about it because it's going to happen and it's gonna happen to everyone, and you just have to think about your final outcome and how excited you will be with having your book. So that was all for today, and can't wait to see you again. Bye!